The vast emptiness of space stretched before the ISS Guardian, a solitary vessel carrying the last hope of humanity. Captain Park Yuna stood motionless, her dark eyes fixed on the holographic display that showed the approaching alien armada. The ship's metal hull hummed with a quiet intensity, a testament to years of desperate preparation. 12 crew members moved with precision, each understanding the weight of their mission. The ship represented more than just a military vessel. It was the final chance for human survival. Outside the reinforced windows, distant stars flickered like distant memories of a world they might never see again. Lieutenant Kim Jae checked the quantum adaptive systems, his fingers dancing across complex control panels. The ship's experimental technology was humanity's last scientific miracle, developed in secret research stations hidden deep within solar asteroid fields. Years of research, countless sacrifices, and the collective desperation of a species now rested on this single moment. The Guardian was unlike any spacecraft ever constructed. Its hull incorporated nano-adaptive materials that could shift and reconfigure during combat. Sensors could predict and adjust to enemy weapon signatures milliseconds before an attack. It was a ship born from humanity's most brilliant minds, created when their backs were against the wall. Captain Yuna remembered the last transmission from Earth. The planet had fallen silent weeks ago, consumed by the alien invasion. Billions of lives reduced to static and memories. Her hand unconsciously touched the small photo of her family attached to her command console, a reminder of everything they had lost. The alien fleet approached, massive ships that looked like geometric nightmares against the starry backdrop. Each vessel was larger than entire human cities, bristling with weapons technology that seemed almost magical. Their smooth, obsidian-like surfaces reflected nothing, absorbing light like bottomless voids. "Tactical analysis," Yuna commanded, her voice steady and controlled. Lieutenant Commander Li Wu responded quickly. "Enemy fleet consists of 247 primary combat vessels, massive energy signatures detected. Our current probability of survival is calculated at 0.03%. A lesser crew might have surrendered, but not this crew. Not today." The ship's computer began calculating millions of potential combat scenarios per second. Quantum processors worked faster than human thought, creating strategies that defied traditional military logic. The Guardian wasn't just a ship. It was a living, thinking weapon. Yuna watched the approaching fleet, her mind racing through every possible strategy. They couldn't win through traditional combat. They needed something unexpected, something that would exploit the smallest weakness in the aliens' technological superiority. "Prepare quantum displacement protocols," she ordered. Her crew moved with synchronized precision, each understanding their role in this impossible mission. The alien ships began to spread out, their formation suggesting a confidence born from countless victories. They saw the Guardian as nothing more than a minor obstacle, a final desperate attempt by a defeated species. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Lieutenant Kim adjusted the ship's experimental shield modulations. Years of research had created a defensive system that could potentially absorb and redirect energy attacks. It was a technology so advanced that even its creators weren't entirely sure how it would perform in actual combat. "All systems ready," reported the ship's artificial intelligence in a neutral tone. "Probability of total mission success, 0.05%. Captain Yuna allowed herself a small smile. Those were better odds than they had an hour ago. The first alien weapon signatures began to build, massive energy concentrations that could vaporize entire planets. The Guardian sensors tracked each developing attack, preparing to respond in microseconds. This was more than a battle. This was humanity's final statement to the universe, a declaration that they would not go quietly into extinction. The stars seemed to hold their breath, waiting. The Guardian's interior trembled with a low, constant vibration as Lieutenant Kim Jae worked frantically at the engineering console. Sweat beaded on his forehead, reflecting the intense blue light of the quantum systems. Every circuit, every wire represented humanity's last technological hope against an enemy that had already conquered thousands of star systems. Experimental quantum adaptive shields were more than just a defensive mechanism. They were a radical reimagining of combat technology, developed in secret underground research facilities during the final years of the human resistance. Each system was a complex puzzle of nanomaterials and quantum entanglement, designed to do something that seemed impossible, survive where no other human technology could. Energy levels unstable, the ship's artificial intelligence reported. Its voice was calm, almost detached from the critical situation surrounding them. Kim understood that this was more than a standard system check. This was a fight for survival. The ship's primary weapon systems were unlike anything in previous human military designs. Instead of traditional laser or plasma technologies, the Guardian used quantum resonance disruption. It could potentially tear apart molecular structures at their most fundamental level, targeting specific quantum signatures of enemy vessels. Captain Yuna watched her team work, understanding that their survival depended on perfect coordination. Each crew member represented years of specialized training. They weren't just soldiers. They were humanity's last scientific and strategic minds. Outside the ship's reinforced windows, the alien fleet continued its relentless approach. Their vessels looked like massive obsidian sculptures, moving with a precision that suggested computational intelligence far beyond human capabilities. Each ship carried enough destructive power to eliminate entire planetary systems. Kim's hands moved across specialized control panels, adjusting quantum frequency modulators. The experimental technology was so advanced that its full capabilities were unknown. They were essentially flying a prototype into the most critical battle in human history. Quantum entanglement stabilizers at 73%, he announced. The number meant little to most, but to this crew it represented hope. The ship's defensive systems were a marvel of human innovation. Nano-adaptive hull materials could restructure themselves milliseconds before an incoming attack, potentially redirecting or absorbing massive energy strikes. It was a technology born from desperation and human creativity. Commander Li Wu monitored external sensor arrays, tracking the alien fleet's movement patterns. Their combat formations suggested a collective intelligence, each ship moving with a synchronized precision that seemed almost organic. Traditional human military strategies would fail against such a coordinated enemy. Quantum displacement protocols are ready, Li reported. The technology allowed the ship to essentially exist in multiple quantum states simultaneously, making traditional targeting almost impossible. Captain Yuna knew their chances were microscopic. The alien fleet outnumbered them by hundreds to one. Their technology was generations ahead of human capabilities, but humans had always been defined by their ability to adapt, to find solutions where none seemed possible. The experimental systems continued to build energy. Each moment was a delicate balance between potential breakthrough and total system failure. One wrong calculation could mean instant destruction. Lieutenant Kim adjusted a final series of quantum frequency modulators. The console sparked momentarily, a small reminder of how unstable their technology remained. They were pushing scientific boundaries in real time during an active combat scenario. The ship's artificial intelligence began running millions of potential combat scenarios per second. Its calculations went beyond human perception, creating strategies that defied traditional military logic. Probability of mission success increasing, the AI reported, from 0.05% to 0.08%. A tiny improvement, but in their situation, every fraction of a percentage represented hope. Captain Yuna watched her team. They weren't just preparing for battle, they were humanity's final statement to a universe that had deemed them extinct. Each system, each calculated risk represented years of human resilience, innovation, and an unbreakable spirit. The alien fleet drew closer. The moment of truth approached. The first energy pulse erupted from the Guardian's experimental weapon system, a brilliant blue-white beam that cut through the darkness of space. It was unlike any traditional weapon, a quantum-targeted disruption that could theoretically unravel molecular structures at their most fundamental level. Commander Li Wu watched the holographic displays, his fingers dancing across complex control interfaces. The alien fleet's initial response was predictable, Concentrated defensive formations, energy shields building to maximum intensity. They believed their technology was impenetrable. They were about to be proven wrong. The Guardian moved with impossible fluidity, quantum displacement technology allowing it to exist in multiple positions simultaneously. Where traditional ships would have been destroyed instantly, this vessel transformed combat into an unpredictable dance of quantum probabilities. Lieutenant Kim's hands flew across engineering consoles. Each weapon discharge required precise calibration, pushing experimental systems beyond their designed limitations. Sweat beaded on his forehead, reflecting the intense blue light of quantum systems. The first alien ship exploded not from direct damage, but from internal molecular disruption. Its massive hull simply came apart, disintegrating into complex particle streams. The remaining fleet hesitated, a moment of collective computational uncertainty. Captain Yuna understood their advantage. The aliens operated with collective intelligence, expecting predictable responses. Humanity's greatest strength had always been its ability to be beautifully, terrifyingly unpredictable. Quantum frequency modulation at maximum, Kim reported. The ship's systems were operating at the razor's edge between breakthrough and total failure. Precision energy bursts targeted microscopic structural vulnerabilities. Each strike was calculated, transforming the battle from a traditional confrontation into a scientific deconstruction. The Guardian wasn't just fighting. It was systematically analyzing and dismantling an entire technological ecosystem. Alien, defensive systems designed to counter known technological approaches found themselves helpless against strategies that defied conventional warfare. The human vessel moved like a quantum ghost, striking with surgical precision. Commander Lee created holographic combat projections, showing potential attack vectors. The alien fleet's rigid computational strategies began to fragment. They were encountering an enemy that didn't follow any recognizable combat protocol. Another alien vessel disintegrated, its complex systems unable to adapt to the quantum disruption. The Guardian's weapons weren't just destroying ships, they were rewriting the fundamental understanding of combat technology. Energy systems stable, the ship's artificial intelligence reported. Its voice remained neutral, detached from the incredible scenario unfolding around them. Captain Yuna watched the battle with calculated calmness. Years of preparation, countless scientific breakthroughs, and human determination converged in this single moment. They weren't just fighting for survival. They were proving humanity's potential to an indifferent universe. The quantum adaptive shields absorbed incoming alien weapon signatures, redirecting destructive energy in unpredictable patterns. Where traditional shields would have collapsed, the Guardian systems transformed attacks into opportunities. Lieutenant Kim executed a series of impossible quantum jumps, making the ship's movement completely unpredictable. The alien fleet's computational tracking systems began to fail, unable to calculate the human vessel's trajectory. 57% of enemy fleet neutralized, Commander Lee announced. The number was more than a statistic. It was a testament to human innovation. Each destroyed alien vessel represented years of technological development, computational strategies developed across generations, and they were being systematically dismantled by a single human ship. The remaining alien vessels began to retreat, a first in their documented combat history. They were encountering an enemy that didn't just resist, an enemy that was rewriting the fundamental rules of technological engagement. Captain Yuna allowed herself a small, determined smile. Humanity wasn't just surviving. They were demonstrating their potential to a universe that had written them off. The battle was far from over. But for the first time, hope seemed possible. The battlefield transformed in moments. What started as a seemingly hopeless mission became a calculated, systematic destruction. The remaining alien fleet, once confident in their technological superiority, now faced complete disintegration. Captain Yuna watched the holographic displays with cold precision. Her hands remained steady, each movement calculated and deliberate. The Guardian wasn't just fighting, it was dismantling an entire technological ecosystem with surgical accuracy. Lieutenant Kim's quantum systems worked beyond human comprehension. Experimental weapon protocols targeted microscopic vulnerabilities in alien ship structures. Each energy pulse did more than cause physical damage. It unraveled complex technological networks from within. 72% of enemy fleet neutralized, Commander Lee reported. His voice carried a hint of disbelief. They were achieving the impossible. The alien vessels began responding with increasingly desperate tactics. Massive energy concentrations built around their remaining ships, attempting to create defensive barriers. But the Guardian's quantum adaptive systems rendered these efforts futile. Space itself seemed to bend around the human vessel. Quantum displacement technology allowed the ship to exist in multiple positions simultaneously, making traditional targeting completely ineffective. The aliens' advanced computational tracking systems began to fail, unable to predict or counter such unconventional movement. Lieutenant Kim executed a series of impossible maneuvers. The ship jumped through quantum states, appearing and disappearing, with no predictable pattern. Where traditional vessels would have been destroyed, the Guardian transformed combat into a complex mathematical dance. Shield integrity at 92%, the ship's artificial intelligence reported. Its neutral tone contrasted with the incredible scenario unfolding around them. Captain Yuna understood they were doing more than fighting. They were proving humanity's potential to an indifferent universe. Each destroyed alien vessel represented a statement. Humans would not go quietly into extinction. The remaining alien fleet began to show signs of computational breakdown. Their collective intelligence, once their greatest strength, now became a critical weakness. Unable to adapt to the human ship's unpredictable strategies, their defensive formations started to collapse. Commander Lee tracked the battle's progression. Complex holographic projections showed the systematic deconstruction of alien technological networks. It wasn't just a military engagement, it was a scientific demonstration of human innovation. Experimental weapon systems continued to push technological boundaries. Quantum resonance pulses traveled through space, targeting the most fundamental structural weaknesses in alien ship designs. Each burst did more than cause physical damage. It completely disrupted complex technological ecosystems. 85% fleet neutralization achieved, the artificial intelligence announced. The number represented more than a statistic. It was a turning point in human survival. The alien vessels began to retreat, a first in their documented combat history. They were encountering an enemy that didn't just resist, an enemy that was rewriting fundamental rules of technological engagement. Lieutenant Kim's hands moved with incredible speed across specialized control panels. Experimental systems operated at the razor's edge between breakthrough and total failure. Sweat beaded on his forehead, reflecting the intense blue light of quantum systems. Captain Yuna allowed herself a momentary recognition of their achievement. They had transformed an impossible mission into a calculated victory. Humanity's final vessel was proving to be more than just a ship. It was a testament to human potential. The remaining alien ships tried desperate defensive maneuvers. Massive energy concentrations built around their hulls, creating complex defensive barriers. But the Guardian's quantum adaptive system simply absorbed and redirected these energy signatures. Final attack sequence prepared, Commander Lee reported. His voice carried a mixture of scientific excitement and military precision. Space around the Guardian seemed to shimmer, quantum displacement technology creating multiple potential realities. The alien fleet, once confident in their technological superiority, now faced complete systematic destruction. They were about to learn the true meaning of human determination. Silence followed the final explosion. Fragments of alien technology drifted like metallic snow against the infinite darkness of space. The Guardian, scarred but unbroken, moved slowly through the cosmic debris field that had once been an invincible alien fleet. Captain Yuna stood motionless on the bridge, her hand resting on the small photo of her family. 12 crew members looked at the holographic displays, each understanding the magnitude of what they had just accomplished. They weren't just survivors. They were humanity's final hope. Lieutenant Kim checked the ship's systems. Experimental quantum drives hummed with a low, persistent energy. They had pushed technology beyond its known limits, transforming scientific theory into practical survival. Every circuit, every wire represented years of human resilience. Fleet. Completely neutralized, the ship's artificial intelligence reported. Its neutral tone couldn't capture the emotional weight of their victory. Commander Lee began transmitting a simple message across multiple galactic frequencies. Short, direct, powerful. Humanity survives. The transmission carried more than words. It was a declaration to the universe, a statement that humanity would not be forgotten. One ship, 12 crew members. An entire species' determination compressed into a single moment of cosmic defiance. Outside the reinforced windows, distant stars continued their silent watch. The battlefield was now a graveyard of alien technology, testament to human innovation. Where traditional military strategies would have failed, they had succeeded through creativity and scientific breakthrough. Lieutenant Kim's hands moved across the engineering console, stabilizing the quantum systems that had made their survival possible. The technology was so advanced that its full capabilities remained unknown. They had essentially fought a battle using a prototype weapon that existed between scientific theory and practical application. Captain Yuna reviewed the battle logs. Each moment had been a calculated risk, pushing experimental systems beyond their designed limitations. They weren't just a military vessel. They were a living representation of human potential. The Guardian's quantum adaptive hull showed multiple impact marks, each telling a story of survival. Nanomaterials had restructured themselves during combat, absorbing and redirecting massive energy strikes. It was more than a ship. It was a scientific marvel. Transmission received, Commander Lee announced. Multiple human resistance groups are responding. They weren't alone. Other human survivors had been waiting, watching, hoping. The Guardians' victory wasn't just a military achievement. It was a beacon of hope for a species that had been pushed to the brink of extinction. Lieutenant Kim checked the experimental weapon systems. They had destroyed an alien fleet considered mathematically unbeatable. Their success defied every computational prediction. Humanity had once again proven its ability to find solutions where none seemed possible. The ship's artificial intelligence began analyzing the battle data. Millions of computational scenarios processed each second, providing insights that would revolutionize human military and scientific understanding. They had done more than survive. They had learned. Captain Yuna allowed herself a moment of reflection. Years of preparation, countless sacrifices, and the collective determination of a species had converged in this single moment. They were writing a new chapter of human history. Quantum displacement systems stabilizing, the AI reported. The ship continued to move through the cosmic debris, a silent guardian of human potential. Commander Lee tracked incoming communication signals. Resistance groups from various hidden colonies were responding. The Guardian's victory had transformed hope from a theoretical concept into a practical reality. Lieutenant Kim's experimental systems continued to process the incredible data from their engagement. They had essentially rewritten the understanding of combat technology. Where traditional approaches would have failed, human creativity had succeeded. The photo of Captain Yuna's family remained attached to her command console, a reminder of everything they had lost, everything they were fighting to reclaim. Space remained vast and indifferent, but humanity had just proven they were anything but insignificant. They had survived. They would continue.